Thanks for joining me on Life and Surround. Today, I am talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is the Norwegian music label 2L. They have yet another album released. This is called Borders. It is 2L catalog number 173. Is this really the 173rd album that they've released? They are rather prolific. I already have at least a dozen or more of their titles, so I guess 173 wouldn't surprise me. Morten Lindberg, very, very nice gentleman, and the main, engineer, and, as far as I understand, like the main proprietor of the label. Just very, very nice man, a pleasure to talk to, and just extremely prolific. Already has a number of Grammy Award wins and just tons of Grammy nominations. I think he may be going for like the record for Grammy Awards in a lifetime. He is definitely setting a good pace. So 2L, I love to talk about this label. I love to talk about this label. They care about sonic quality just to an extent that I'm not aware of anyone else really rivaling them. If you want sonic choices and even format choices, this is the label for you. This here, Borders, is a Blu-ray SACD set. Not only does it come with a Blu-ray audio with a number of formats available in region-free encoding, so ABC, so you're safe no matter where you are in the world. It also comes with a hybrid SACD. So that means you get a CD layer, an SACD stereo layer, and an SACD 5.1 layer. And then the Blu-ray audio is just packed with options. You have 192K stereo LPCM. You have 192K 5.1 DTS HD master, 48K Dolby Atmos in 7.1.4 configuration, and then 96K RO 3D in 7.1.4 configuration. So fortunately for me, my home theater system is configured in 7.1.4, 7.2.4, but the subs play the same thing. Just means that I have balanced subs, spread throughout the room. You even get MQA for those that are into that. I have never checked out the format myself. And then there's M Shuttle with other options as well. So, I mean, I'm not aware of another format that, Morten could possibly try to pack into these releases. And in my opinion, very fairly priced. So the question is, are the titles that 2L puts out for you? So Borders. This is a collection of 3 suites. I'm not sure if that's the technical term. I'm not a huge, symphonic orchestral guy, so forgive me if there's better terminology, but 3 sets of 3 songs. And each of those songs have a very distinct theme. And if you open up the ebook from the website, you will discover that there's even a narrative for each of the pieces. We have composer Henning Sommerro composing all 3 pieces. And each piece has a soloist, and each piece is supported by the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra. All right, so, a brief description of the 3 pieces. You have Solstice, which describes a bard's pilgrimage to the eternal city, which I correctly guessed is Rome. Sorry, I'm not Catholic. I'm a bad Iberian. A pilgrimage for the bard, King Olav's bard, Sigvat Skald. And I'm not quite clear as to whether this character is completely mythical or maybe somewhat historical. But this piece is, like I said, broken up into 3 tracks. It ranges from the whimsical to rather intense. So you get the sense that the bard is, happy about gaining a period of time of freedom when the king doesn't need him because he's entertaining another monarch. And so the Skald goes off on this longed for pilgrimage. And, every adventure ends up having its strife, right? So his goal is to reach Rome by summer solstice so he can experience the sun at its most intense and its, longest duration of the year, and just, celebrate life and his blessings in that way. The suite was commissioned by Sigmund Groven, a harmonica player, and to my ears, this is a chromatic harmonica. Doesn't sound bluesy to me. So I think we're dealing with a chromatic harmonica, and I can tell you that we are dealing with a very, very talented player. And then Henning Sommerro composed a piece for him to, delight in and show off what he can do, and to bring this very cool theme and narrative and, this set of feelings and just musical experience to all of us. And it is a very, very, very cool piece. I happen to like harmonica quite a bit, mostly in the form of blues harp. I've actually gone to like harmonica festivals. So very, very cool piece for me personally. I really enjoy it. So then suite number 2 honors the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. It's called Austera, and it's named after the goddess of spring. And we actually get the word Easter from her name. Roar Engelberg, a flautist, again commissioned this piece from Henning Sommerro, who was happy to oblige. Again, broken up into 3 tracks. Roar is able to perform musical feats that I didn't even know were possible on a flute. This is a pan flute, and so it's very fitting, given that Pan is one of the gods of, just nature, and Austera, the goddess of spring. This is an invocation to bring the earth once again out of the death of winter, and to cause the roots to secretly begin to grow and form their networks under the snow, and then eventually at the coming of spring to photosynthesize and to burst forth from the snow and to fill the world with life-giving plants and life-giving warmth and sunlight again. So a very, very, very cool piece. The flute is very, very pleasant to listen to, and I really was able to hone in on the fact that different scales and different keys and different modes and even different instrumental parts like timpani are used to reinforce the themes that are going on here, the narrative even, and to set and establish, certain moods, just in a very, very, very specific way. So, unlike some pop music where, you have like the same instrumentation basically for the whole song or for the whole album even, drums, bass, guitar, vocal, you get instruments entering and pausing during the composition, and then occasionally coming in and just, this unified ensemble. So you have an incredible range of dynamics, and really this applies to all 3 suites, but this is when I began to notice it. So a very, very cool piece, Austera. And then we get the 3rd piece, again broken into 3 tracks. This is known as Borders, and it references some political strife in Africa in 2016, which forced a flood of refugees across the Mediterranean Sea, the likes of which Europe hadn't seen since at least World War II, and just in terms of the sheer numbers of refugees. And the piece seeks to express some empathy for the refugees, and then also expresses some strife as European leaders and the peoples try to present a unified offer of support, unified and fair, like, where are all these refugees going to end up and who is going to pay the cost? And, why is it that the people who don't cause the trouble end up, bearing the cost? And is that burden, that humanitarian burden, which I think, kind-hearted people are willing to undergo, but it still has a cost, and sometimes a terrible cost. Is that burden spread, fairly? This suite showcases the violin playing of Marianne Thorsen. Although she did not commission the piece, she was anointed to be the performer here, and I believe she was just an excellent fit. As I said earlier, each piece is supported by the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Nick Davies, and recorded in spatial audio by Morten Lindberg and his team at a Trondheim church. So I really encourage you to go to 2L's website. You can download or just open up the ebook. You can read as much as you could possibly wish to about this release. It is a very, very, very thorough ebook. There are beautiful pictures, which I really think are really a cool part of these releases. You can see the microphone array strategy and the way that all the parts are positioned in the space. And, so 2L's mission is to select, an appropriate piece of music that they wish for people of the world to hear, select the appropriate performers, select the appropriate space, such as a church or a cathedral, and then to mic that space so that you, the listener, are put in that space. You can turn your home theater into a cathedral with 2L. So, really, I can't gush about this label enough. I am not always like the perfectly intended audience for every single piece of music, but in terms of sound quality and just integrity, and just in terms of like being nice people, which I think counts for a lot, this is just an incredible label. I wholeheartedly recommend your support. I recommend you go to the 2L website. I've done quite a bit of videos, quite a few videos on 2L already. I have favorite titles across the last several years. And if there are 173 releases, I think that probably means that I am ignorant of the majority of them. But at least since like the days of like Magnificat and Mass for Modern Man, several years ago, I have been a fan and just have been greatly enriched by listening to this label. In fact, I have begun going to, patronage my own local symphonies and orchestras, in the San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area, because, I'm developing an ear for, orchestral music. Not all music needs to be pop and rock, even though I love pop and rock and metal and, some jazz and blues. I feel like my soul is being enriched by, expanding my musical palette. And I, to some degree, have 2L to thank for that. Now, I know that there are other, symphonic, orchestral, multi-channel labels out there. I'm just less familiar. And I think partly like what initially drew me into 2L were great reviews on quadraphonicquad.com. And then, a recommendation probably from someone that I trust, saying that a certain title was worth checking out. And upon purchase, I agreed that I loved it. I love all the sonic choices. from super duper high resolution stereo through to high resolution, RO3D, you get Atmos, DTS HD master for those, who prefer dedicated 5.1, SACD 5.1, MQA. I mean, this is cool stuff. And, the website makes it pretty easy to browse and just check out, various titles to see whether or not you might be interested. Some of their titles feature choirs with lyrical content. And in some cases, like as with Borders, you have completely instrumental content. You have symphonies, you have concertos, so there is quite a range of what's going on. And Morten Lindberg is also involved in some, kind of hybrid types of projects where he's bringing his spatial, microphone array into some other contexts. So in my opinion, 2L is well worth following as a label, checking out if titles look, cool to you, and feel free to drop me a line if you wonder, whether or not I recommend a certain title. And like I said, I've already done some 2L videos, so go ahead and just search for those. I love Mass for Modern Man, Yggdrasil, Tu Vaihun, just to name a few, Lux. And if I recall correctly, Lux won a Grammy. So maybe start with Lux. But you really can't go wrong if these titles are a stylistic fit. And I really just appreciate 2L. Morten Lindberg is bringing some light into a world that all too often can be very, very dark. So talk about borders. The theme of the third piece here is every bit as relevant today as it was when it was written. Okay, so enough about that. 2L, a great label, an inspiration, uplifting. I believe they are worth our support. I appreciate that they're there, and I appreciate that you're there. So as always, if you like what I do, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, share videos. It helps get this channel out to more viewers. And that's what I want because, I just like spreading my joy, that I derive from beautiful music and fun music and all that. And I love interacting with all of you. So leave your comments, hit me up on Life in Surround, Facebook, Quadraphonic Quad, all that good stuff. And until next time, live life in surround.